I've made over 1 million cold calls and I've sent tens of thousands of cold emails. And here's what nobody tells you. Cold outreach isn't hard because people hate sales. It's hard because you don't have an actual system. Everyone's out there hunting for some magic script or shiny tool, but that's not what wins. What wins is a consistent, repeatable system that takes cold strangers and turns them into booked calls. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. Here it is. Most business owners treat outbound like a panic button. They only do it when leads dry up. They have some way of getting leads, and then when they wake up one morning and go to the office and look in their CRM and there's no new leads, they go, crap, what do I do now? And then they freak out and they start cold calling, or they tell someone else to cold call. It's the panic button. It's too inconsistent, it's scattered, it's not thought out. Maybe they run some blitz, right? In sales, we love to talk about a blitz. We go crazy, we blitz. But the problem with a blitz is sometimes it works, but then if you stop the blitz, if you stop the actual activity, that inconsistency will just kill any momentum that you've had, and any iterations that you might be able to do on your process, they're gone if you try to treat it like some blitz. But the professionals, the people that can do outbound to really take their organization to the next level, they treat it like brushing their teeth. It's something that is automatic, something that is non-negotiable, that happens no matter what. Everyone wants to talk about outbound marketing and does cold calling still work? Does cold email still work? Does outbound marketing still work? It has almost nothing to do with the channel. What it has to do with is inconsistent effort. Inconsistent effort will never work. And too many people with cold calling will do it for a day, skip a week, then they'll do a cold email blitz, and then they'll stop. That is inconsistency that doesn't work. Every outbound system that actually works comes down to these 3 things: list, message, follow-up. Yes, I said follow-up. A lot of people think an outbound system is, hey, you go get them and they're there or they're not there. But every good lead generation system should have some follow-up. Okay, so let's start with list. We've got list, message, follow-up. The list, if the list is bad, nothing else matters. Okay, what about the message? Well, if your message is too long and no one reads it, it doesn't matter how much value it provides. It doesn't matter how entertaining it is. If it's too long and no one reads it, it's not going to work. And what about follow-up? You just got to do it. If you don't follow up, there's no chance you can win. Now let's talk about lists. Too often with lists, people try to go huge. I want a huge list. I want 100,000 contact list. And definitely when you're starting out, you want a high quality, smaller list. Okay. So instead of having a 100,000 person list, maybe start with 500, depending on your niche, right? Start with 500 and learn with that. So then you go like, well, what is a good list? And I think it depends what you're calling. Like, let's think of commercial cleaning first. A big list would be every business in your geography. You could potentially call every business in your geography. I'm in Tampa, right? So I could call every business in Tampa. Then you go like, well, maybe, and let's say that's 1 million businesses. Or you could go, how about every business in Tampa that is in a space that's over 10,000 square feet? Like, okay, could I find that? Could I look at property records? Could I back into that? Sure, right? Like maybe that gives me 100,000, okay? Probably smaller, maybe gives me 50,000. Like, all right, 50,000. And then you go like, well, what about every business that has over 10,000 square feet that is public facing, right? So then you go through your list and do customers actually go in this place? Do they actually care about it being clean? A mechanic shop or a factory floor, they don't necessarily need commercial cleaning, right? So then you start making it lower and lower. Then you go like, well, what if I could find the list that says all of the businesses whose commercial cleaning contract is about to expire? That would be the greatest list in the world, right? The problem is you can't necessarily find that information, right? So you start with a big list and you try to make it as small and granular and powerful as possible. But then sometimes you just can't get any more data. So you're not probably going to be able to get contract information for everybody. So you're going to have a bigger list, but you just got to kind of balance that stuff out. And how about the message? Most people's message is way too long. You need to think short, direct, and personal. Think more like text message energy, not sales email energy. And cold calling too. When you're cold calling, you want to be like, hey, this is John. Let me tell you about our 14-point inspection plan. You want to say, hey, this is John. I'm trying to get in touch with Joe about the commercial cleaning. Can I come over next week and give you guys a free estimate, right? Like text message energy. Even in a cold email, you want the cold email to say, hey, Steve, in your area next week, can I stop by for a free estimate, right? Like short, direct, and personal. Now let's talk about follow-up. Everyone knows the fortune's not in the first message. It's in the 7th or 8th one that they finally answer. Follow-up is over and over and over again. Here's what I think most people get wrong in follow-up is they try to make it too cute. This triggers that, and I'm gonna put all these different tags and buckets, and they make it way too hard to manage. This is what I think a good follow-up system is. Email once a month, call once a month. If you do that, you're like in the top 0.001% of follow-up. Once you get your list, your message, and your follow-up, then you have to start thinking, how can I measure this? How can I use data? How can I quantify what's going good and what's going bad? I think everyone wants to talk about that initial message like it's an art. And when it comes to quantifying it, it's like, all right, this is the science. This is the science of getting into it. So how do you do the science? You basically have to say, hey, if I do 200 calls and I have 10 conversations and that gives me 3 appointments, then I can predict that tomorrow or next week, my conversion will probably be similar. If I do 200 calls next week and I get 10 conversations, I'll probably get 3 more appointments. And then if you have a team of people doing that, you're able to say, okay, I have 5 callers. They're all doing 200 calls. That's 1,000 calls in a week. That should give me 50 good conversations, and that should give me 15 appointments. And you could do the same thing with cold emails. If I send 1,000 cold emails, that's going to get me 10 responses, which is going to give me 1 good lead. That's how you understand the math. Without understanding the math, outbound marketing becomes just a shot in the dark that you're probably never going to get right. Here are some mistakes to avoid. Quit trying to rewrite your script every day, every week. Your email script, your cold call script. Your script matters, but once you kind of get it dialed in and you're confident in it, quit trying to change it all the time. Number 2, quit trying to think about different tools, different technology. That stuff is not going to give you better results. I've never introduced a new technology or software into my company and been like, whoa, this is really helped us, besides maybe AI with ChatGPT, right? But besides that, anytime you switch CRMs or get a new project management software, it doesn't fix any of your problems, okay? The last problem I see people making all the time is they're trying too hard on the data in the dashboards, in the scoreboards, and they're just not doing enough work. They're not picking up the phone and calling enough people, okay? So you don't need better copy. You don't need better software. You don't need better dashboards. What you need is to be really, really consistent and make sure your outbound efforts are done every week, no matter what. Hopefully you now believe me that outbound works, but you need to be consistent. In my next video, we're gonna go deep into a list and how you can figure out how to build that list, what is a good list, what is a bad list, and then we can go from there. If you want a full step-by-step version of this system, grab the free lead gen playbook, links below, or you can join our school group. It's free. We post real campaigns, real behind the scenes results every single week with office hours. Highly recommend. Or you can join our school group where we post real campaigns, real behind the scenes stuff with office hours every single week.